So welcome everyone to the training for the K-5 Think Like a Programmer journey. This presentation was originally developed by Suzanne Harper, the Senior Director at the National STEM Strategy at Girl Scouts of the USA. And I'm doing a little bit of an updated version here for us here in Northeast Ohio. So quickly, the agenda today, we're going to talk a little bit about computational thinking and what computational thinking is. I'll go through the new STEM journey structure and the specific activities that girls will do in this journey. And I'll also show you where you can find the resources for the journey on the volunteer toolkit, also known as the VTK. And then we'll quickly talk about the connection between computer science and robotics and the new badges there. And then at the end, if we have time, we'll take some questions. So by the end of the training, you'll understand computer science journey, its structure and content, the basics of computational thinking, and how to facilitate the computer science program. So let's take a look first at computational thinking. So computational thinking is a process that computer programmers use to solve problems. It involves identifying the problem, breaking it into smaller parts, looking for patterns, and creating a solution to the problem that works for everyone, either the humans or the machines, and it can be used over and over again. And as you can see, this really aligns well with Take Action and how we identify and create Take Action projects to solve problems. So the Think Like a Programmer journey is developed in partnership with Code.org, which is a nonprofit that's dedicated to expanding access to computer science and increasing participation by women and underrepresented students of color. Code.org organizes the annual Hour of Code campaign, which has engaged 10% of all the students in the world and provides the leading curriculum for K-12 computer science in the largest school districts in the U.S. Their vision is that every student in every school should have the opportunity to learn computer science, just like biology, chemistry, or algebra. Some people say that computer science is the new language of the future. So here are a few things to note in the new STEM journey design. In the older journeys and the classic journeys, we had 12 to 15 meetings, and now we have 6. We have had a lot of activity options in the original journeys, and they heard from volunteers who liked having choice, but many said it was confusing and overwhelming. In addition, GSUSA had feedback that there was never enough time in troop meetings to use the meeting plans as written. So we trimmed everything down and tested these designs to make sure that they work. As you can see, every meeting has 4 activity slots. The first 3 meetings focus on the STEM content. There's an As Girls Arrive activity that ties the STEM to the STEM theme. And there's an opening ceremony where girls pledge the flag, recite the promise and law, conduct troop business, and are introduced to the STEM activity. Then they do the STEM activity, followed by a closing ceremony. Each STEM activity takes about 45 minutes or 30 minutes if you're daisies. The next 2 meetings have the same structure, but they're focused on the Girls Take Action project. And finally, there's a celebration meeting. These meetings were designed for the troop meeting model, but since it's most common, it's because it's the most common way that girls in grades K to 5 get together. However, it's a modular structure, so you can customize the way you deliver it. So for example, the 3 STEM meetings could be done in a day-long workshop or as part of a day camp. And some troops may want to have a meeting to celebrate their achievements and have an award ceremony, while others want to use one of the meetings to celebrate the many things that they've just accomplished. What's most important is making sure that the girls learn about computer science, that they do a Take Action project, and that they have fun while they're doing it. So let's take a look at the specific age level activities. The DAISY computer science activities. So as the girls arrive, they'll create a special handshake and work in teams to create handshakes to greet each other. Girls are introduced to the idea of coding messages. The STEM activity, building a foundation, daisies complete a building challenge with toothpicks and gumdrops or similar materials. Girls learn about persistence and that failure is not a reason to give up, and that failing at a task gives you the information you need to change the course and ultimately succeed. So quickly, before I move on, let's talk about what an algorithm is. It's simply a process or a set of rules to be followed. You can think of it like a recipe or a roadmap. It can be really simple or it can be really complex. So an algorithm is really nothing more than a recipe or a set of directions. And while the word might be big, the meaning is simple for the girls to grasp. So as girls arrive, they're going to begin doing algorithm drawings in the second meeting. And they'll begin to think about algorithms as they give specific instructions for a partner to draw a picture. So the STEM activity is happy maps, and girls create algorithms to navigate stuffed animals along a tape trail. Once they understand the language, they can begin to, quote, program one another to go through the trail. Daisies learn about algorithms and explore using a common language or code to give clear instructions. Algorithms are kind of like playing Simon Says. In the third meeting, as girls arrive, they're going to do Daisy Planting Power, where they'll decorate cups for the meeting's STEM activity. The STEM activity is Plant a Seed, where daisies put together step-by-step instructions to create an algorithm that can be used to plant a real seed. Girls learn about using algorithms in their everyday life. So the Brownie activities, in the first meeting as they arrive, they're going to do Morse code messages. And girls will create messages in Morse code and learn that there are different languages for coding. Their STEM activity, paper programming, and girls explore computational thinking by programming on paper. First, they create algorithms for each other to reproduce existing pictures on paper. And then they work in teams in a race against the clock, working together to create a program, one instruction at a time. Girls learn about algorithms. In the second meeting, as girls arrive, they'll do more paper programming, and they'll complete worksheets based on meeting one concept. This activity reinforces the idea of algorithms and programs, which will continue to be used in the second meeting. The STEM activity, Functional Sun Catchers, the Brownies create sun catchers using string and beads, and they learn how this process is like creating an algorithm with patterns, variables, and functions for pieces of code that you want to use over and over again. In the third meeting, as girls arrive, they'll walk the line and create algorithms to navigate each other along a course, and you can make it harder by having them be blindfolded. The STEM activity, Personal Innovations, Brownies connect their own personal interests to computer science by sharing something that they know a lot about and teaching it to a small group by creating an algorithm. The groups then make a rapid prototype of an innovative idea. These activities are also used in the multi-level Think Like a Programmer journey with tips and notes to volunteers on how to age up or age down the activities to fit the girls' age and experience level. Okay, the junior activities. In the first meeting, as girls arrive, they'll create their own code. Girls will create their own secret code as an introduction to coding languages. The STEM activity, Tangram Algorithms, juniors create algorithms to tell others how to make images with tangrams. Girls will learn that there are lots of ways to use an algorithm if you keep it simple. However, if you want to make sure everyone ends up with the same thing, then your algorithm needs more detail. In the second meeting, as girls arrive, Snack Algorithms, girls will create an algorithm for the perfect snack bite, reinforcing algorithms as a step-by-step instructions. And in their STEM activity, they'll solve challenges with computational thinking. First, the girls will analyze stories for differences and abstract them to create fun Mad Libs. And then the juniors will complete the Functional Sun Catchers activities. Juniors learn more about algorithms, abstraction functions, and variables. In the third meeting, as girls arrive, Text Collages, the girls will think about how technology has evolved and the different types of technology that exist in our world. The activity starts with girls brainstorming for ways to innovate technology for personal innovation. And in their STEM activity, Personal Innovations, juniors connect their own personal interest to computer science by sharing something they know a lot about and teaching it to a small group by creating an algorithm. The groups then make a rapid prototype of an innovative idea. So earlier in 2017, GSUSA tested a number of Code.org activities with over 30 girls in K-5 troops. Through video footage of the meeting and surveys and phone interviews with volunteers, testing found that volunteers loved the instructor-teacher videos, that it was great that it can be done without a computer, felt that the activities were age-appropriate, and the parents were waiting around at the end because they thought, wow, even I understand more about computer science now. So girls learned about putting things in order and giving exact instructions. It's really about logical thinking. For the final journey, GSUSA pared down the activities to those that were most engaging and appropriate for each age level and added more examples and opening activities. Many were based on suggestions from volunteers. When you look at the new STEM outcomes that they've developed, you'll see that girls benefit in 4 ways. We want to increase their interest in STEM, their confidence in what it takes to do STEM, their competence in STEM skills and knowledge, and their understanding that STEM is of value to society. Scientists help people, scientists help animals, and scientists help the planet. The volunteers were gracious enough to test this program, delivered on every one of the outcomes. And you can see on the screen there's some quotes from the volunteers as in response to their involvement in the development. So here's some things about the facilitation tips. Make sure that you use the talking points in the VTK, but make them your own. Some volunteers find it helpful to follow the script exactly, while others deliver the information in their own words. Either way is just fine. Be prepared. It's what Girl Scouts do. Each meeting includes a prepare ahead section that includes a materials list and the kind of setup that's required. Make sure that you read it in advance so you have enough time to gather supplies, enlist help if needed. Use the Girl Scout 3 processes. Learning by doing and cooperative learning are built into this journey thanks to the hands-on activities and tips. You'll also find specific girl-led tips in the meeting plans to help you create a girl-led experience. Sorry about that. Solve big problems step by step. On this journey, girls will do hands-on activities to learn how computer programs think through problems. They'll learn to follow and create algorithms, break big problems down into smaller ones, and persist when faced with challenges. You can help girls think this way and encourage them to debug if their program doesn't work the first time. Remind them to break down the problem into smaller, more manageable ones, and point out examples of how they can use algorithms and computational thinking in their everyday lives. Make sure that you leave time for the closing ceremony. If girls are having fun, you might be tempted to skip the closing ceremony so they can keep going, but the closing ceremony is absolutely key to their learning, and here's why. When girls leave the meeting, they'll remember how much fun they had, but they might not realize that they just learned how programmers solve problems or that they're good at computer science, unless you tell them. And so the closing ceremony is where you can connect the dots for girls by pointing out how they acted as programmers, how much fun they had solving problems with computational STEM thinking, and that they have what it takes to continue exploring STEM. And finally, make sure that you encourage people to tell their true story. As a Girl Scout leaders, they're designing experience that girls will remember their whole lives, and to capture those memories with photos and videos, girls love remembering everything that they did, and it's a great way for parents to see the benefits of Girl Scouting. Finally, a little bit about program pairing. When it's possible, there are badges that pair well with the journey. Here are some suggested programs to think like a programmer. Daisy, Rosie, and Clover Petals, the Brownie Computer Expert Badge, and the Junior Product Designer Badges are a great start. There are other pairings too, so feel free to explore. As you're teaching computational thinking, it's important to encourage girls to keep trying when their first few solutions don't work. Girl Scouts is a safe place for girls to fail and make mistakes, and to learn from them. Tell them that they can solve any problem if they break it down into smaller ones, and remind them that they can use these skills in their daily lives. So let's take a quick look at the volunteer toolkit. We'll show you where everything is located in the toolkit. On the left side of the screen, you'll see a list of all the materials that have been created to support this journey. On the right side, you'll see a screenshot that shows where they are located. You have detailed activity plans for each meeting, checklists, facilitation tips, handouts that go with each meeting, a glossary, a take action guide, and materials list. Both a list for each meeting and a list of all the materials you need for all 6 meetings in case you want to pull them all together at once. This is why the VTK is a useful tool. If you go here, you'll know that you have all the resources you need. The activity plans are great for step-by-step instructions, but some of the handouts you need are actually in the meeting aids section. So let's take a closer look at the meeting aids for this journey. I just want to reinforce that for our team, that we really want people to use the VTK, because the printed versions, it's a little bit more clunky. If you're on the VTK, you're able to pull things up as you need them, and the resources are there as you need them, versus having a stack of paper that you have to sort through. The meeting overview, under the meeting overview, there's a prepare ahead section, and you'll find specific instructions to help you prepare for the meeting, including videos from code.org. The demo videos are show the activity in the school setting, And the overview video reviews the concepts of computational thinking in an explored activity, and these are really helpful. The activity video can also be shown to girls before or after they do the activity. So when I send out this PowerPoint presentation, it's already uploaded into the SharePoint file. You can click on this video, which shows you the overview for building a foundation. And it's really helpful. They provide some basic information about the language that they're using and the computational thinking and the logic that they're trying to teach the girls as we go through the project. And they're very short. They're only 2 to 3 minutes long. So you can see that there's also some standard aids in the VTK, including the Promise and Law handout, which is useful for new volunteers. There's a glossary and a materials list. And there's something called Brainstorming Tips, Think, Pair, Share. It's a great handout with facilitation tips from Audrey Quick and Jesse Massapak from Northeast Texas. And make sure that you pay attention to the Take Action Guide. This is something we've heard loud and clear from volunteers. Help me understand the difference between community service and take action, and what makes a project sustainable. Give me some examples about take action projects. And so you'll get all that in the Take Action Guide and check it out. It's really well done. And finally, notice the meeting aids in blue. These are the handouts that we are using in meeting 1 of the junior journey, and you need them to facilitate the meeting. So there's the Tangram set and the Tangram algorithms. GSUSA is really taking feedback seriously. They've tested and revised the journeys to address feedback from girls and volunteers, and they've created new meeting aids based on volunteer requests. If they hear that there's a need for a new meeting aid, they can create it and add it easily to the VTK. And that's another reason why we want people to use the online tool. Additionally, they're asking for feedback from girls and volunteers at the end of each program. There's a link for both girls and adults to fill out. The girls survey helps us measure how well the program is working, if the girls are bored or not, if they're achieving the intended outcomes. And that means that we have work to do if they're not. We need to revise the program. And we know that it takes time for girls to fill out the survey, and it can be challenging to get a room full of girls to do this. But if you can, we'd greatly appreciate it because it will help us improve the program, which will benefit the movement and most importantly benefit the girls. We're also encouraging the volunteers to complete the survey, which you can find at the end of the meeting activity plan for meeting 6. By using the VTK, you can assure that it's going to reach GSUSA directly to make your voice heard. And again, we've given several reasons for people to use the VTK, but we know that not everyone can access the online site. So we've made PDFs of all the program materials, and we put those up on our SharePoint site. So you're able to share those with folks if they need it. So if there's an individually registered girl or there's someone that has difficulty with internet connectivity, we're able to provide those PDF versions. However, we strongly encourage people to use the VTK because we know that leaders that are using the VTK are much more satisfied with their volunteer experience. Okay. Quickly here, we'll take a look at the connection to the robotics badges. So in addition to the Think Like a Programmer journey, this year GSUSA introduced 9 new robotics badges, 3 for daisies, 3 for brownies, and 3 for juniors. The robotics combines concepts of engineering and computer science. Engineers and programmers work together to plan, design, build, and test and improve their robots. Without a programmer, a robot can't move, act, or react. And that's why we've adapted several of the activities from Think Like a Programmer journey to be steps in the robotics badges with talking points to help volunteers connect the activities to robotics. On this slide, the badges in green include activities from the journey. These are beginner badges accessible to all girls. No matter how much experience they have with robotics, there are also, for the most part, unplugged badges, which means there are no kits required. However, if you have them, you can use them with the robotics badges. And finally, just a reminder to everyone, some folks might be nervous about thinking of the Think Like a Programmer journey series or the robotics badges. And we want to remind people that everyone's a beginner at something and everyone's an expert at something. And so it's important that we work together and share what we know. Leaders shouldn't feel that they have to be an expert in everything. They can reach out to family and friends, other parents to help become a volunteer and work to teach the girls how to do this journey or how to complete the engineering and robotics badges. So we want to encourage people to ask for help. Not everyone can start a campfire, and not everyone can program a robot, but when we work together, we can do all of those things. So